This night, I think, for our tennis community, for our community, is really one of the greatest nights in the history of this community, because in Dennis Ralston, you're looking and about to listen to one of the greatest coaches of all time, if not the greatest coach of all time. Stop for a second as I break down his accomplishments. This is someone who won Wimbledon at age 17 and then went on to make the finals again of Wimbledon. He's been unbelievably successful. A lot of coaches are successful at one level, maybe as a player, maybe in college, maybe on pro. Listen to his list of accomplishments for a second. Coach went on after winning Wimbledon at age 17 to coach the U.S. Davis Cup team, one of the greatest Davis Cup coaches of all time, and coached one of the greatest Davis Cup matches of all time, that famous Stan Smith, Ilie Nastase, Romania match that some people say was the greatest Davis Cup match ever. We're about to listen to the coach of that team and that match. Coach Chris Evert through her prime. Coach Yannick Noah in his prime. And Gabriella Sabatini in her prime. Then went on to coach in college and got ITA National Coach of the Year at SMU. Took SMU to 1, 2, 3 in the nation constantly. They came down here and played our HEB a lot. We got to see them. Took Richie Renneberg and developed him into one of the top 10 players in the world. Richie Renneberg, after working with Dennis at SMU, went on to defeat Boris Becker at the U.S. Open, make the round of 16 of the U.S. Open, champion in doubles, etc. That list of accomplishments at every level is something that is about as rare as you'll find. We had a mutual friend. I met Dennis 20 years ago. He was a coach and mentor to Tim Siegel. I was Tim's assistant at Texas Tech. And I'll never forget, I called Tim and I said, Tim, we need a speaker for this new facility we're building. He said, well, there's a chance I might be able to bring in Dennis Ralston. I said, shoot, Tim, if you can bring in Dennis Ralston, we're going to pack this place. We might actually raise the money to build this facility. He says, well, don't promise anyone anything. I'm going to try. We went to lunch with the athletic director and the football coach, big group of people, and they said, hey, aren't you having this big event? I said, yeah, Tim's going to bring Dennis Ralston. And they said, oh, shoot. We got in the car, and he said, well, I guess I have to now, don't I? I went to the airport to get Dennis and managed to get him lost in a Lubbock snowstorm and show up a little late for the event. That was my great story of having Dennis coach me through some adversity, because I thought my boss was going to fire me. But that was one of the greatest talks I had ever heard, and one of the greatest talks the Lubbock community had ever heard. I left saying, maybe I learned more than any other talk I've ever heard. When I just got off the phone with Dennis's longtime student, Tim Siegel, he said, I guess if I had to sum it up, I would say this. He said, in my first 3 months working with Dennis at SMU, I learned more than I've learned the rest of my life in the sport of tennis. And this is one of the truly great honors that our community will ever have. One of the greatest tennis coaches in tennis history speaking to us tonight. Let's give a warm Corpus Christi welcome to Mr. Dennis Ralston.